You're listening to Strange by Nature, your guide to the strange, weird, unbelievable, and improbable wonders of the natural world.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for being here today. I'm Kirk Mona, and joining me are Rachel Gimza and Victoria Thompson. We're all naturalists who together have scoured the world for weird and wonderful wonders, just to please your mammalian brain's desire for novelty. Isn't that nice? Let's do this.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Great to see you guys.
Hey.
Yay!
Yeah, good to be here.
Always fun.
I am starting things off this week, and I'm going to talk about something I really like, which is that every fall there is an awards ceremony that celebrates some of the most original thinking in the world, and we learn the previously secret identities of individuals who have been responsible for some of the most remarkable achievements in science. I am speaking, of course, of the Ignobel prizes.
Yes. Love the Nobel Prize.
Oh, we've talked about them before, like here and there. Oh, so fun.
Yeah, they've been mentioned.
Treasure trove.
They've been mentioned.
Mm-hmm. So good.
As you know, probably, the real Nobel Prizes are named in honor of Alfred Nobel, Swedish inventor of dynamite. Those prizes are presented at a gala at the lavish Stockholm Concert Hall, where the dress code is strictly white tie and evening dress. Each prize comes with a gold medal and award of currently 11 million Swedish kroner, which is a little over $1 million US. But
wow.
The Ig Nobel Prizes, by contrast, are awarded in a ceremony in a drab lecture hall at MIT and voted on by a science humor magazine called The Annals of Improbable Research.
Yeah, it's awesome.
The prize is a banknote for the amount of 100 trillion Zimbabwean dollars, currently worth about 40 cents, 40 US cents.
Oh.
And obviously the bragging rights are huge.
Yeah, it's all about the bragging
100%.
rights. And I'm sure there are some scientists who absolutely write the titles of their paper at this point, because it's a big enough deal. Where you're like, you knew what you were doing when you wrote this. You were trying to get the attention of the Annals of Improbable Research.
Absolutely. That's what I would do.
I can only think that must be true. So the award is for research that makes you laugh and then think. As we mentioned, we've covered a few past winners on the show, and I'm pleased to note that this year, the what was known as the 34th first annual Ig Nobel ceremony was introduced.
Yep.
Introduced by the winner of the 2003 Biology Award, Kees Mulliker, who won for his research into homosexual necrophilia in the common mallard duck, which we covered in
I
episode
remember
65,
that.
As you recall.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awful.
So any listeners who haven't heard that one, definitely go check that out.
Put that out of my brain, and now it's back.
Yeah, I blocked that. I know I covered the one where it was being aroused by crocodiles made you more likely to gamble.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they dressed like Steve Irwin when they accepted their award.
They did. They dressed like Steve Irwin with stuffed alligators or crocodiles when they accepted the award.
It was great.
Well,
fantastic.
Dr. Mulliker brought the duck with him to this year's ceremony.
Oh my God.
The taxidermied.
Did it get taxidermied? Oh my God.
The taxidermied dead duck whose corpse had been desecrated previously.
Oh my God.
I love scientists so much.
Yeah, it's pretty lovely.
However, the prizes actually themselves are presented by real Nobel Prize winners. And at certain points in the ceremony, audience members also throw paper airplanes onto the stage.
Beautiful.
And if winners' speech lasts longer than about 2 minutes, a little girl called Miss Sweetie Poo comes up on stage and says, "Please stop, I'm bored," over and over again until they stop talking and leave.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I love
really
this.
It's just looping. Please stop, I'm bored. Please stop, I'm bored. Like over and over until they shut up.
Oh, that's so good.
Yep. So I want to highlight this year's winner of the Physiology Prize, which was a group of researchers from Japan. The paper they wrote is titled mammalian enteral ventilation ameliorates respiratory failure. And translating that from science, that means
would be
that
appreciated.
They discovered that mammals can breathe through their butts.
What?
Oh. Okay.
What?
I mean, obviously some other species can, but
yes.
Mammals.
Well, yeah, Rachel has given us some preludes to this topic in previous episodes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Back in episode 17, Rachel, you regaled us with the evolutionary history of the anus.
Yeah.
Yes, she did.
My search history has never been the same.
Yeah.
Was that the episode that had the term meat donut?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Memorable.
I forgot that.
Thanks, Liv.
And then in episode 49, you also discussed the ability of some turtles to breathe through their butts, known as enteral respiration.
I feel like I should say that I don't actually have a fascination with butts, especially since now that I'm thinking about it, I did cover wombats recently being defensive with their butts.
You talked about their butts.
Yeah.
Huh.
You did.
I did do an episode about the mini-assed hydra worm.
Yeah. And you were the one who did the episode about wombat poop, which comes out of their butt.
Yeah. Huh.
It's a lot of butts.
Anyway, enteral respiration is actually fairly common in some types of animals, including various types of fish, crabs, and sea cucumbers, but it is unknown in mammals.
Right.
These Japanese scientists were inspired by a common freshwater Japanese fish called the pond loach, which they do breathe through their butts as an additional source of oxygen in sort of low oxygen, hypoxic pond environments.
Okay.
And they compared the microscopic rectal anatomy of the fish and the mammals.
Not a phrase I thought I'd hear today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, they were looking at the lining of their rectums.
Their butts, yes.
To see how the oxygen gets in. And
darn near killed him.
Yeah.
For those who know that joke. All right, moving on.
Yeah. Anyway, they hypothesized that mammals would also be able to perform respiration through their rectums, given the right circumstances. So they tried two different methods of enteral respiration. So first, using mice, they tried using oxygen gas, and they had two different experiment groups plus a control. So with the two experiment groups, they both got rectal oxygen gas in a low oxygen environment. And the control group was also in the low oxygen environment, but did not receive gas. And they had noted differences between the lining of the mouse gut and the lining of the fish gut that would allow for better gas exchange in the fish.
Okay.
And so to kind of recreate this better, in some of the mice, they abraded their colon.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, poor little mice.
That's a rough day at the office.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Not only for the mice, but they had to do that to their colon.
Yeah, there was a video.
What?
In the paper. Yeah.
Total pain in the ass.
Oh my God, Kirk.
Oh, God.
That is low hanging fruit.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Anyway, both the mice that did receive oxygen through their butts were able to better survive this low oxygen environment than the control mice, but the one with the abraded colon survived best. However, if you're looking to make this a practice that you could use in humans, this is not very practical.
No. I am not.
If you're considering emergency resuscitation, which is kind of the basis of what they're interested in.
Okay.
So they did another experiment with rats and pigs, and they used a liquid called perfluorodecolin, which it's inert in the body, but it's capable of carrying huge amounts of dissolved gas, including oxygen and carbon dioxide. And in fact, it's already used in several medical applications, including some artificial blood substitutes. So it's already passed a lot of the safety checks that you would need.
Okay.
So they gave the rats and the pigs an enema of this stuff that had been loaded with oxygen.
Oh
and
God.
found that it did help to provide respiratory support for the animals. And they were able to tolerate repeated enemas of this stuff with no serious complications. Just to provide some context, this experiment was published in June of 2021. Can you think why we might be interested in providing oxygen through the butt in mammals in June of 2021?
COVID,
exactly, yes. So this experiment took place in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic, when ventilators were often in short supply and they needed to be looking for other means of respiratory support. So,
but
it was very interesting. On the downside, I mean, other than the obvious.
You mean the backside?
Right?
The backside. The downside is that perfluorodecalan, this liquid, is a perfluorocarbon, which is a group of chemicals that have extremely high global warming potentials. And this one in particular is 7,500 times stronger as a greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide.
My goodness.
Yeah. So, couple of negatives there. And I think this is pretty far from being operational in humans or even tested in humans, but I thought it was kind of fascinating. And it also gave me a chance to talk about the Ignobel Awards, which are delightful.
It weirdly reminds me of a story. Do you know the story of the tobacco smoke enemas?
What?
This is ringing a bell, but I don't remember.
Tell you what, we're gonna save it for our patrons, so we'll have it in some of the bonus material, and they can check it out. It's a bizarre medical treatment that used to exist for drowning patients. So we'll talk about it in our bonus.
All right, I look forward to that. That is what I have. My sources this week were the paper I mentioned, which was published in Clinical and Translational Resource and Technology Insights. And I also used the Ignobel Awards website and Wikipedia.
Nice.
We are going to take a short break. When we come back, it'll be Kirk.
Welcome back, everyone, from that break. I'm just going to start off with a little poetry for you.
Ooh.
Oh.
Water, water, everywhere, and all the boards did shrink. Water, water, everywhere, nor any drop to drink. Does that ring a bell?
Yes. The Rime of the Ancient Mariner.
Yeah.
By Samuel
Very
Taylor
good.
Coleridge.
Yes. Yeah, very famous line from the Rime of the Ancient Mariner. So this has been held up often as like a classic. Some see it as the first example of what we would consider modern poetry. It was published in 1789, which is quite a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it tells the tale of an ancient mariner who stops a guest at a wedding to tell him this like increasingly fascinating tale about his days at sea. And the line about there being water everywhere but none to drink speaks to the irony of being stuck at sea, surrounded by water, but unable to drink any of it because humans cannot survive on seawater.
Right.
It's simply too salty.
Yep.
Seawater is about 3.5% salt, whereas our own blood is a little less than 1% salt. Usual number given is about 0.9%. And so when humans drink seawater, bad things happen.
Yeah.
And it all has to do with our kidneys. So the way our kidneys work is that if any salt ends up in the water we drink, the kidneys filter it out and then we excrete it in our urine. So your urine is the way that your body just gets that out of your body. And this works perfectly fine as long as the water that you drank has less salt in it than the water in our blood. But when we drink water that is saltier than our blood, the body's only way to get rid of the salt is to essentially water down the salt water that you drank to be less than the saltiness of your blood. So you need water to excrete salt from your body, but when the water you take in already has lots of salt in it, it takes even more water to excrete it. So basically you end up peeing out more water than you drank, And that water doesn't magically come from nowhere. It comes from your body. So even if you are really, really thirsty, drinking salt water will actually make you even more dehydrated, as it takes more water to process the salt out than you initially took in by drinking it. So you basically, you're thirsty and dehydrated, so you drink salt water, which makes you even more thirsty and dehydrated, so you drink more salt water, and it just gets worse and worse until basically you die from dehydration. So not at all pleasant. We, as humans, really, really, really need fresh water to survive. There are, however, animals that don't have this problem. And one of them is actually in the Rime of the Ancient Mariner, though not because of this particular superpower. It's just kind of a fun little quirk that this happens to be an important animal in the story. During a dark moment, the sailor's ship is besieged by a storm and is driven toward Antarctica, where it starts to get stuck in sea ice. And the crew spots an albatross, and they end up following the albatross through the ice to safety. But the mariner in the story shoots the albatross, which eventually the crew ends up viewing as bad luck. And they famously make him wear the dead bird around his neck as punishment. It was sort of another famous bit of that poem.
And that's, there's like just a saying in English to have an albatross around your neck. And that's where that comes from, right?
There you go. And that's where it comes from, yeah. The cool thing about an albatross being in the story is, I kind of hinted at this, they have no problem with salt. And now we talked about albatross on the show before and many of their amazing adaptations, but we didn't touch on this one amazing ability they have. Albatross are members of a group of birds, sometimes called the tube noses. And this group is also sometimes called the petrels. Some people consider albatross a type of petrel, while others say that albatross are the only tube noses that aren't petrels. Look, basically, the taxonomy of this whole group is an absolute mess. That's just
sounds right.
People keep on arguing about it and switching it around. That's not what I'm talking about this week. But we can call them all tube noses. And the really cool thing about tube noses is that they have the ability to drink salt water. And if you think about it, this makes sense because, as we've noted before, a bird like an albatross can spend up to 5 years at sea without ever seeing land. So they certainly need something to drink, and seawater is going to be it. So what these birds can do is they ingest water, and then they use something called a salt gland, which is right at the base of their bill. And this gland, it has some similar functions to what a kidney can do. And it can basically process salt water and remove it, even when, this is the cool part, even when the salt content is higher than that found in the bird's blood. So something we can't do. They basically process it into a pretty pure saline solution that is up to 5% salt. So almost twice as salty as seawater, which is pretty cool.
Ooh.
And this salty water either runs out of their nose, or they can forcefully expel it out through their nares and through their nose. So I'm not really big on the idea of having a perpetually runny nose all the time, but it is pretty amazing that they can do this at all. And they aren't the only ones either. Many marine mammals, from the manatee to seals, they will ingest seawater, but they don't get dehydrated. And their kidneys are, in this case, what they use to filter it out, which again is what we use as well, but they function a bit different than ours. They are way more efficient at getting salt out of their body, basically. And what's kind of interesting is scientists still aren't 100% sure how they do it. But one leading theory is that they, and I should point out, I am hugely simplifying here, but they simply have longer plumbing in their kidneys.
Okay.
And that allows them to create a super concentrated urine. So basically they're able to pull more water out of their urine at the end of the process and reabsorb it so that it doesn't get lost, which is pretty cool. And we do know that some marine mammals also just get a lot of their water from the food they eat. So they're not really drinking seawater at all. They're just eating food, and all the fish and things in the ocean are not salty on the inside. And so if all the food you eat is really juicy, you're getting your liquid that way. So they are getting water, essentially pure water, through the food they're eating as well.
Okay.
Some animals like seals have been seen eating snow and snow is, of course, naturally salt-free. And one really wild thing I learned this week, and this just, oh my God. Okay. Some people in Florida who live in areas where there's like brackish water have been known to run a garden hose out from their yard out to where the water is and stick this hose into the water.
Okay.
Because manatees have learned that they can come and get a drink out of the garden hose. Because they can detect that it's fresh water. So when they see manatees, they'll stick this hose in the water, and the manatees will basically come over and be like, oh, sweet, and come take a drink out of their hose.
Amazing.
Which is wild. I really can't imagine going out to water the manatees, but
no,
there you go.
Not really.
Once again, Florida
Famously
being
sea
a
cows.
supremely weird place. Yeah. So look, that's what I have for you this week. People watering manatees and animals that can basically drink salt water. So just a reminder, I guess, if you find yourself stranded on a ship lost at sea near Antarctica, like the Ancient Mariner, please remember that you are neither seal nor albatross. You can't drink seawater. Though, to be fair, you could do what the animals do and just eat the seal or the albatross to get your fresh water.
Yeah.
And do it that way. Or just, go for ice and snow. Probably lots of ice and snow around. Both of those would be good options. Grab some ice out of the water. Enjoy your fresh water. Very, very cold. And a bit icy.
Melt it.
So my sources for this week were Scientific American and Wikipedia. But just thought that was kind of a fun thing to talk about.
That's wild. Thanks, Kirk.
Cool. Thank you, Kirk.
Sure thing. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, Rachel is going to wrap up the show with her segment. So we're excited for it. Let's go.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. So, Kirk, it's really funny that you actually were down in Antarctica, sort of, because...
I mean, I was not, but my story did mention
Mariner
Antarctica, yeah. Poetically speaking,
right.
Yes.
Well, we're going to Antarctica today, and...
What?
I know. I'm so excited.
That's very cool.
I'm not going to lie, right where I am, where I'm recording, it feels like Antarctica outside, so...
Oh, you are getting clobbered right now.
When I left work, it was -8 degrees Fahrenheit. So, love it.
And have you gotten all the snow yet? I heard you guys were going to get a bunch of snow.
On Sunday, we got 11.5 inches.
Just a bit.
I think we got maybe a centimeter. We just got a dusting here.
No, we got 11.5 inches on Sunday. And, yeah. And it was heavy.
I'm sure there's more
coming. It was heavy, wet snow. So that was fun. It's all concrete now.
Awesome.
Anyway.
So you can picture Antarctica.
I just have to look outside. So, so we're going down to Antarctica, and we're actually going into the Southern Ocean today. Yeah, I'm going in the ocean. So this particular creature that I'm talking about today, it can be found, some species can be found in the intertidal zone, but this particular species, rather than its family, can be found in the intertidal zone. This one is found in the deep sea.
Okay.
When I say deep sea, I mean the bottom of the ocean, in the Southern Ocean. The bottom. Like 2,000 feet.
The bottom. Okay.
The bottom. It is
that's
very much.
Big, that's big. That's big depth. Okay.
That is very big depth. They hang out and they live in the sand on the bottom, and they are an ambush predator. This is a wild creature. It is called the Euglassica gigantea, also known as the Antarctic scale worm. Now I'm going to send you all a picture, but don't look at it yet.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I don't think I'm familiar with this.
So, email or text?
Scale worms as a marine species There are more than 900 different species of scale worms in the world, and they can live just about anywhere. They can be found in the intertidal zones of any of the oceans. They can be found in hydrothermal vents. They can be found deep in caves. They can be solitary. They can live, they can coincide and live with black coral, where they've been found to do. They've also been, different scale worms have actually been found to have a symbiotic relationship with a carnivorous sponge. So truly, there is a wide variety of scale worms out there. This one is an ambush predator, is solitary, lives underneath the sand, like I said. It generally will wait out and is trying to eat things like sea spiders, fish, and pretty much whatever it can catch.
Okay.
As its scientific name suggests, it is a big worm.
Okay.
It is fairly large for a marine worm. It's not as big as like I was expecting. I thought it was going to be way bigger. But for a worm, it's still large. It can grow more than 20 centimeters long, which is a little less than 8 inches.
Okay.
And it can be about 10 centimeters wide, which is about 4 inches.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's way chunkier than I was expecting, given the length.
Right.
It's a girthy worm.
Yes. And no joke, in multiple places in my research, it was described as, it was compared to being the size of a squirrel. Which, okay.
That's an odd
also
choice.
A rant.
For many, many reasons, scientists.
Right?
That's a weird one.
But think about it, it's an easy comparison, right? Like body length. You can picture a squirrel.
Sure. I don't...
There's been some wild comparisons recently.
Yeah.
That is pretty out there.
Bumper cars, squirrels.
The bumper car one killed me. Absolutely wrecked me.
Yeah.
Oh, worst comparison.
I'm always here for weird comparisons. So, being a marine worm, it's an annelid, so it's a segmented worm. It has up to 40 segments. But generally, what it can look like is on its back has like armor scale looking things, which is where the scale worm gets its name. And they look kind of like armor plates, and they can have more than 15 interlocking plates that overlap and alternate. They're a cream color.
Wow.
And the ends kind of go into the elytra, which is like not the legs, but like the ending parts of the segment, and lead into the parapodia, which help the scale worm get around. And though the parapodia are a golden brown color. Now I sent you both a picture, and I want you to look at it.
Okay.
Okay.
What in the sand?
It's shiny.
What?
It's like the head of the alien from the movie Alien.
Yep.
Attached
but just
to
the head.
A golden boa.
How do I begin to describe this?
I personally thought
you undersold
yes,
this.
I did.
So it's flatter than I was picturing more like round.
No, it's a flat worm. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very flat. The segments almost look like rows of teeth.
Don't they?
Yeah.
Don't they
which
though?
Is disturbing.
They look like human molars.
But the thing
those are the
thing is that
the scales,
the entire outer edge from the head going down one side around the backside and back to the head has what appear to be bright, shiny, golden
bristles.
Bristles. Thank you, bristles. I was gonna say like hair. Or something.
Yeah.
This looks like
those are the parapodia.
If you bought a cheap a cheap like
Tinsel.
gold shiny tinsel mohawk wig or something at a party store. Like this is the most gaudy, ridiculous ornamentation on an animal I've ever seen in my life.
And
but
these
then
are
you haven't
solid
talked about
gold
its head yet,
bristles.
which
no, I haven't.
is horrifying.
It's just
Isn't it?
horrifying.
It's going to get worse.
It's a horrifying head connected to this beautiful, shiny gold tinsel fringed, awful looking body.
I like to remind you that it's an ambush predator.
Horrifying. Horrifying.
So
it's okay. So is the shiny gold to like attract things to it? Because
no,
if you're essentially functionally a mile underwater, there's no light.
No.
Right?
The parapodia, that just happens to be what the color is of their parapodia. It's their like defining like identification tool is that. It just happens to be golden brown. They spend most of their time underneath the sand, Kirk. They don't see the...
Why?
That helps them move.
Why be so pretty?
I don't know.
And horrifying at the same time.
I have to say that, we've seen a lot of really strange looking animals on this show, but I think this has got to be the weirdest one.
Check out our Instagram for the pictures. I'm sure Rachel will get them up there.
I will.
I don't like looking at this, but I can't look away.
Good. That was my goal.
And it's the best art and the best photography. Right. You hear people talk about this idea that like your eye keeps moving around, like it keeps your eye moving.
This does that,
and that's how this works. You don't know where to look. You just you look at you start looking at the gold tinsel, then you're looking at this horrifying body that looks like a mouthful of teeth. Yeah. And then your eye goes, and you go, well, okay, can I get used to that? Then you go, but then there's the head, and oh my God, the head, and then this mouth is horrifying, and then but there's this gold tinsel. Like, you just keep on going around and around and around, and can't stop looking.
Yeah.
I need to close this image. I don't want to look at this any longer. Now it lives only in my brain, like a weeping angel who's been embedded in there.
Awful. Why would you bring that up, Kirk? I'm going to be thinking
just don't blink, you'll be fine.
Okay. So, like you both said, the head looks like something straight out of a horror film.
Correct.
It is a grayish brown or grayish blue round head with what looks like some pinchers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have any
alien-like
eyes,
pinchers.
And it technically does have some antenna to help feel around, so that way it can detect movement and know when it needs to strike out for its prey. It mostly eats, like I said, sea spiders and some fish, whatever it can catch.
Wow.
Oh man, this next. Okay. So what it does...
Wait, there's more?
Yeah. So when it strikes out, that horrifying horror movie-esque alien head will strike out.
Yeah.
Grab a hold of it. And then it actually has like a proboscis tube mouth that'll strike out.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
And then it will bring it in.
Oh, so this is...
Wait. It brings it in and will turn itself inside out into the body to bring in the food. It literally turns its mouth inside out down towards its stomach. Its mouth is more than a fourth of the body size of this worm.
Victoria, when you said this was like something out of Alien, you were more right than you knew.
Yeah.
Where there's like the mouth inside the mouth kind of thing. That's what's going on here.
Yes, it
this
is.
is Alien.
The mouth will shoot out and then curl in on itself, bringing the prey in.
It is Alien.
It is.
Folks, we live in a very strange planet.
Don't we?
And I love it.
It's so weird. I found all this. I will talk about this next week a little bit more, but when I was researching for this, I found something even, I think, worse. And stay tuned for next week, y'all.
Oh.
When I started this whole thing, my idea was that, get some folks together and try to stump each other with stuff we'd never heard of and get this kind of reaction. And Holy crap, did you do it, Rachel? Because
Thank
I
you.
had not heard of this, and I am gobsmacked.
Good. That was my goal for today.
This thing is
that is why I had
something
you
else.
wait before you looked at it, because that...
Yep. Woo!
Yeah. But that's all I had for y'all today. My sources this week were Wikipedia, A to Z Animals gave me some solid information, as well as compared this scale worm to a squirrel. Wild. And then Australian Geographic had a really solid article about it as well. I believe.
Well, now that I see the picture, though, like the fluffiness of a squirrel's tail is kind of like the fluffiness of this gold tinsel parapodia stuff.
Right.
So, yeah,
You see it.
Okay, maybe I'll see it.
You see it.
If the squirrel was just a head
and
like a vomit mouth and then like a just a tail on the back,
Right.
then yeah. Then it's like a squirrel.
Exactly.
A gold tinsel demon squirrel. Sure.
Right.
Fine. Okay. I'm here for it.
It's so fun. All right. So that's what I have for y'all today. I believe this is it. So with that, thanks everyone for listening. See y'all next week.
Bye-bye.
Thanks everyone for listening to today's show. Be sure to subscribe. New episodes drop every Wednesday, and we love sharing this strange world with all our listeners. If you would be so kind as to leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you get your podcasts, that would be great. It lets other lovers of the strange discover the show. You can reach us by searching for Strange by Nature Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Blue Sky. You can send us an email as well. Our address is contact@strangebynaturepodcast.com. If you want more information about the show, you can check out our website, strangebynaturepodcast.com, and you can support the show and get ad-free episodes at patreon.com/strangebynature. Until next week, get outside, stay curious, and embrace the strange.